Okay, there are a couple ways to do the inside corners like this. One of the ways that I've been using is to cut a 2-inch wide piece that has just the notched edge on it and tuck it back in there. So I've left this out 2 inches and slid that back there. So I have one edge right there that I'm for my nailing strip. So now when I put this piece up against there, I have a full wide strip right there. And what I did for this piece is I cut a little bit extra wide notch right there, so I have a full width right there. So now you can see when I have a solid corner there, there's something solid to screw the drywall to, rather than using a corner piece. If you notice too, I have a piece of 1/2-inch plywood down here on the floor that I'm using as a spacer as I go along, because I don't want these sitting right on the concrete floor. I don't want them to take any chance of wicking up moisture, especially into my OSB furring strips. So I just keep sliding that along the floor as I go. Now what I've done with this strip of OSB, you can see I already have the adhesive on it, but it's just setting up because it's a little bit cold. I hold it up to where it's going to be, and I put some pencil marks where each one of the blocks is, and I want to go into a solid block. I don't want to go into a mortar joint. The tap cons and the mortar joints, there's not enough mortar, because remember that mortar doesn't typically go maybe all the way through, and it's a little bit more crumbly. So I want to go into the solid block, not into the mortar joint. So I wanted to put a pencil mark at each spot. I'm putting 4 in this strip in the corner. The rest of these are probably going to have 5 or 6 screws in them, because I know I'm going to hang some cabinets up here. And what I've done after I marked each one of them, I lay it down on the bench, pre-drill the hole with a drill bit, and then I also countersink the hole just a little bit too, because the countersink on those tap cons will fit right in there flush. And with the first few of them that I was driving, if I drove it in a little bit too far, too fast, it would break the head off of the tap con, and again it wouldn't hold at all. So I wanted to go nice and slow. Another point that they do make in the instructions is to use a battery-powered driver to drive all the tap con screws. One of the reasons you don't want to do that is that if you use a corded driver that's really strong, especially one that maybe doesn't have a clutch on it, you're going to drive them in too fast and hard, and again you'll break them off. So better to use a battery-powered one. So what I've done, I've already pre-drilled my holes, countersunk my holes, and I put some of this adhesive on it. And this adhesive has a pretty long work time. It actually works a little bit better if you let it stand for about 5 or 10 minutes. So I do the boards 2 or 3 at a time over on the bench, come over and glue them up, and then by the time I'm ready to put them up there, it's really sticky and ready to go. These boards are already cut to height, but you need to put a little bit of glue on the back side of it. So I take my Pro gun, and what I'm going to do is run a strip right along the edge where the nailing strip is. And then I'm going to do some out in the middle too. It doesn't take much though. And if you're going to be dividing this project into a couple days, one of the things that you don't want to do is to glue your last piece and leave the end of it not nailed down. I did that on one of them, and this glue, even though it looks like it'll just squish into the block and disappear, it'll continue to expand, and the blocks, if you don't have the edge secured down, it's going to expand and get all goofy on you. So hopefully that will stick all right, even though we're a little bit fast. Move my nailing strip over. Just going to set it up in place. On top of it, I have this piece of plywood there. Now you may also want to put a level on the edge of this thing if you're going to be going around the corner. I'm only going a few sheets over there, and I leveled the corner beforehand, so I don't need to bother putting a level on it. Also be sure to mark each one of these nailing strips top and bottom, because when you get them over at the bench and then you carry them back over here, you might forget which is the top and which is the bottom. Keep the hammer handy just in case you need to tap it in just a little bit. Just like that. Should hold pretty good. Not fall down on you. Grab my hammer drill. Drill the first hole. Go ahead and screw in. Fast to get through the OSB, and then slow when I feel it biting into the block. And I have my clutch set on 5. So it's just snug it up. That head is recessed in just like a 32nd of an inch. That's perfect. It's not going anywhere. So that's how we're doing that. I'll show you how we do an outside corner when I get around the way.